Travis,
You?
Travis, come Mandy.
And this was kind of where I know really well.
Was it like it was
It'll
on
be
Washington?
I've gotten to the point where no shopping during the day.
Me too.
And I'm back in town for a
Today's
little
my
bit.
anniversary. I'm here.
I'm really just kind of catching up on.
That was
A little bit.
Call the meeting to order. 1.2, adopt the agenda.
I'll move with the addition to the agenda.
Second. Addition. Yeah. Okay. Vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Hearing none. 1.3, approval of the minutes.
I'll move.
Second.
1 second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. 1.4, school board president resignation.
I'll move.
Need to accept.
Move to accept.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Yes.
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 Oh, at this time, I'd like to remain vice president and open up nominations for president. So Chad, if you can help us with this. Just gotta get these papers. Your piece of paper, Bill.
Yes. For teachers would be carrying paper.
So it's a vote for president?
We need somebody to be nominated.
I nominate Melissa.
So then you can go ahead and handle, you want me to handle that then?
Yeah, all right, I would like you to, thank you. Okay.
Okay.
So I'd ask for nominations from the floor for presidency.
I nominate Melissa Whipple.
Are there any other nominations?
Hearing none.
Are there any other nominations? I'll ask one more time. Not hearing any nominations, I would ask for a motion to cease and that nominations be closed.
I'll move.
Second?
1 second.
No vote is necessary. That would mean Melissa Whipple is president of the school board. I'll turn it over to her.
on to public presentations. First one we have is Carmen Woods, if you'd like to address the board at this time. Or Holly Petite, whichever wants to go first is fine.
Ms. Fu is going to represent our family and talk for us
Okay.
tonight.
Good evening, school board. Thanks for the time and opportunity. We've been working with Dana Ron about a multitude of problems with the Oak Creek School. I'm pretty sure that she's probably updated you guys on the issues down there, but it's something that is of great concern to us, and it's not something that we just want to put in the rearview mirror. You know, the safety of our children, I think, is our most important responsibility, and everyone here agrees with that. We had an issue with dogs coming on to the school grounds, and our daughter was, I don't know if she was attacked or if the dog growled at her, but it scared her. And you know, I didn't know too much about the situation until after this incident, but apparently the basement of the Oak Creek school, the primary building, is condemned, and so the students have to use the restroom that's in the gym, and that's, I don't know how far away from the school, but I think that the staff have done an excellent job to come up with some type of plan to assure that dogs aren't on the grounds, and that the students are somewhat supervised when they do go to the bathroom, or they go as a team. But I mean, I'm just, I guess, really interested in what long-term solutions are possible, because Dana had mentioned that there's potential for some buildings that are not being used that could possibly be moved down there. I didn't, you know, I don't know too much about that building, or what environmental concerns are, or if the building's completely condemned or partially condemned, but I heard that asbestos had something to do with it, so you know, there's another safety issue there. And I think, I guess I just kind of wanted to know if there was any timeline or plan, or if that was discussed, or if there's any type of possibility for those buildings to be moved down to the Oak Creek Elementary area, because you know, how much of the upper part of the facility is unsafe as well, you know, and I know that about a year ago I was asked to be on a parent committee for Oak Creek School, and we came together and gave a lot of input into that process. And I think for the most part, the people who were involved with that didn't really want to highlight some of the issues because they don't want to lose the school. I think that's my perception of that process. And I think that, you know, we're still in that situation today. You know, we have a good school down there, we have good staff, we have good students, good environment, but I think the infrastructure is in need of some solution. And I don't know how possible that is, or if someone could look into that. The second issue that I had, that our family has, is related to the playground equipment. There's several pieces of playground equipment that are outdated, are no longer functioning. There's a teeter-totter that, you know, I probably wish I should have took pictures of this, but I'm pretty sure Dana could go and I'm sure she probably has a report that she could share with you. But I mean, the teeter-totters are decrepit, loose. There's you know, pieces of wood that could harm children. There's a huge slide that's, you know, I don't know how old it is, but I think by today's standards, I don't believe they would allow that to be built on the property. And I heard that, you know, there was a child who fell off of there. I don't know if they were horseplaying or what happened, but I heard that this child, you know, was harmed. And I'm concerned about that slide and the teeter-totter equipment. And I've been to, other schools in the district, and I've seen new playground equipment there. And I know that Oak Creek has some new playground equipment as well, but I think that there needs to be some kind of plan to get some of that stuff removed before somebody seriously gets hurt. So that's the second issue that I have. And that's pretty much it. I wanted to come and share that with the school board, but we've been working pretty close with Dana. I know that she's busy, and I know that she has multiple responsibilities, but if it's something that the school board can advocate for, I think that, getting some buildings down there to do classes in and not even using that building, I think is in the best interest of the children, because it's probably should have been condemned, or maybe it is. Maybe it's partially condemned. I don't know what the status of that building is, but.
I think you'll hear in Dr. Whitney's report when she gets to the next report, facilities, where you're going to talk about Oak Creek. She's going to talk a little bit about Oak Creek. The playground equipment is probably something we'll have to discuss. The new elementary school, that was part of when we built that, it included the price of that. I know that north and south, the equipment that they got was fundraised by the staff and the parent group, fundraised to purchase that equipment and volunteered their time to put that equipment in. So that's something that we would have to put as a discussion to see about the playground equipment, and to see if maybe the community would be willing to also work towards raising money for that too. Would be nice, because I know that's what the schools in here had did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the Oak Creek community would be behind that idea, and I know that my wife and I, we have 3 children going to school there. No, we wouldn't have any problem with going through some type of process to work together to try to get this resolved. But
I did talk to Holly today and fully support working together to get them the equipment that they deserve and work on that building. Oh, the asbestos thing, it's not asbestos, there's something wrong with the wall. And I do have the report at the school.
is there a possibility that I can get a copy of that report?
Yep, there's a copy at the school, but I can also email it to you.
Is there anything else, Ms. Scott?
That's pretty much it, and I thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Yep.
It's always nice when the community comes in.
Yep.
We'll move on to the superintendent report.
In talking about Oak Creek building, because we've been really concerned, or I have been concerned too as well, there was a recommendation by the inspector for the BIA that made the recommendation that it be condemned and demolished. And so the BIA itself would have to act on that recommendation. But in the meantime, we need to care about the safety of the kids in there. So there is the possibility of moving that trailer. Groundwork and all that, would it be done by the end of the school year with winter? No, it wouldn't be. So then the board needs to decide, is there imminent danger that we need to get those kids moved out of there right now? Where could they move to? So I looked at the trailers that are there. There's 20 students in the main building. That, I don't know, it would be very cramped to move all those kids into that other trailer for the time being. But it is something that could be done if we decide that it's too dangerous in the main building. I know Evie has done some work too, trying to get even our state representatives and senators involved in that. And there's a motion on the agenda tonight to form a committee, a strategic plan committee, and one of the first things they would do would be involve the committee to see if we could get listed to get a new school on the BIA list. And if not, if that's not going to happen, what next? Because the trailer only lasts for so long. It's not a permanent solution, so we need to look permanent for Oak Creek as well. So that's where that at. I went and looked about the asbestos because I know there's kind of been rumor or something, is that why it's condemned? That's not it. It's not mentioned anywhere on the report. It's a cracked, crumbling wall in the basement. the fear is that it would crumble or collapse, the building would collapse. So that is mentioned in the report, along with some other findings too. So. But the fact that you want to be involved in it, that will always help some people from the community that want to get involved in it.
Definitely.
Also, teacher recruitment, we're going December 4th with several principals, Aaron and I, it's a recruitment fair where actual teacher candidates that are graduating at semester and will be graduating in the spring will be available. I even asked if we could interview them on the spot, but I haven't heard back from them as far. And so I just wanted to ask the board, as we go about that, and we know we're going to have, again, several openings. We anticipate openings. People already are moving for whatever reason or not coming back, that we need to be very proactive because those teachers are going to get snatched up really quick. So I have also on there another motion, if you could give approval, so if we find good teachers that we want, that we could offer them a contract. Even, we have 3 openings, but what if we find 5 really good candidates? Knowing we're going to have way more than 5. Wanted to know if the board would give me authority to offer them, to get them under contract, so we could have them here. Because every other district's going to be doing the same thing, looking for, we need to be competitive. So I brought that up.
Where is the fair at, Dr. Whitney?
USD. It's a USD. So we have several going, that's December 4th. The next thing I wanted to talk about was you received all of the elementary principals' report, and included on it now there's MAPS data, which is how we're monitoring progress in the district. So you're just going to see the baseline, and when you look at that report, and I'm not going to go into all the details of reading MAPS, it'll say low average, below average, low average. All of those numbers together means the students are not proficient. They have to be average or high average to be proficient. So keeping that in mind, it seems like it correlates very well with what our SPI scores were, our Smarter Balance scores. So I think it's going to be a good measure for progress. Erin will come at a future meeting and explain in greater detail how to read that. I'll just tell you, it's based on a scale from 1 to 300. Every student, if you're a kindergartner, if you're a 12th grader, gets rated on a 1 to 300. So like a kindergarten might be a 150, and you would expect a 12th grader, say, to be 240, 250, like on that scale. So it rates that, so you can see where they are on that continuum. And it's a test we give to all students, K-12. So I think that'll give us good information. Also, I know we had talked about a superintendent board retreat to see if we could pick a date, if we could still go with that 8th through 9th, to have some, we could do some strategic planning, but also some superintendent organization work with that.
Okay, we'll talk about that one and come up with a plan that works for everybody. Okay.
That's pretty much it for today.
On to 3.2, teacher recruitment, what Dr. Whitney said earlier, asking for a motion and a second to authorize her to offer contracts so that we get those future teaching vacancies filled. Move Edie?
Yep.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passed. Strategic Planning Committee. Do I have a motion on this one?
I'll move.
Okay, I'm gonna, I would ask that we do this kind of like how we did in the past with our other committees. And I would like to, if nobody has a problem, appoint Mr. Blotsky as the chair of this to set up those meetings and put the invitation out. And that way it's open to every board member. He would put out an agenda, and just in case more than 3 of us showed up, and so that everybody could come to the table and everybody can be heard. So I would ask that we ask Mr. Blotsky to chair this, just because he has the knowledge of all of our facilities and has been in the district so long, and with our budget, and he knows the money side of it, and whether we can fund something or not fund something currently and down the road. Do I have a second for that? Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Administrative reports, you all got those. We gave them a bye this week, just because we have a lengthy executive coming up. If you have any questions, I would ask that you either email Dr. Whitney with them, and she can pass them on to the administrators. Next item is to pay bills. Do I have a motion?
Move.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion or questions for Chad? All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Second reading of policies. And at this time, we need to decide which, we know that the BEDH will move forward to the next meeting for adoption. But we need to decide between the first one that was presented, the one that I emailed everybody, and Dr. Whitney had a compromise. I think everybody had.
Yeah, that one.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question just for clarification?
Sure.
I saw this and I'm a bit confused. 2 weeks ago, we had the first reading of one of the policies, the one that you had emailed,
Yep.
and then this was the second reading. And according to our policies, you have the first reading, and then the second reading, you modify that particular one that came in, and now all of a sudden we have 3 different ones that were presented for, are they the first reading or the second reading? Because one of them would be the second reading, the one you presented,
Yep.
and the rest would be the first reading, so if you could just clarify for my mind what's going on?
You know, I didn't do this agenda, I didn't have any part of it. It was my understanding that these were for review if somebody wanted to take those as a revision of the one I presented. Is that the way you took it?
Yeah, I think we're on the second reading of that policy, and we're trying to figure out what those revisions are, or are you going to adopt it as it is? I'll just talk about the one that I put forward is, I guess, just in looking at what we struggle with. We struggle so much with attendance. And we don't have a lot of policy that addresses how important the attendance is. I was just looking back today, and I got from Melody Shop, we get an email every week, and we're accountable for that attendance 94%. And what they do is they count up how many students in our district meet that 94%. And 20% of our accountability is that. It's based on that. I mean, when our kids don't come to school, we're held accountable. And the district's held accountable. And I'm like, do we have policy that states we hold people accountable? We set that expectation for our students, for ourselves, that we meet that 94%. And I know if you go back to last year, we had almost 1,400 students miss 20 or more days, which means they nowhere near hit the 94%. That's more than half of our kids. I mean, that's 2/3 of our kids did not reach that 94%. And again, on that school performance indicator, it shows. And so we're trying to not be the bottom of the state, but yet that's one that's really holding us back, is that attendance. And it also affects our achievement. If our kids don't come to school, if they're not here, our achievement greatly suffers. So I put that out there as a compromise, so it still has consideration if I want to transfer to another school where I'm at, if I decide I want to go to a different school, that be a consideration. That we say it's important in our district that we look at that attendance. And so that's why I put that one back on there. Because it's like, what policies do we have that say this board strongly supports 94% or above attendance? So that's why. But at the same time, we know things arise, and we need to be, aware of things that happen in our students' lives, that we need to take that into account. Not everything is in their control, and so we need to be aware of that. That's what
I guess when I put mine forward, I didn't feel that it was only a certain percentage of kids that this would affect, that we were going to hold at a different standard. And I didn't feel it was fair then because some kids weren't going to be held to a standard at all. And I think that it should be fair, I felt it should be fair across the board, that all students in this policy would only affect a certain percentage of students that would be held at a different standard. That was my feeling on it, is keeping it fair. And I feel like we are going to start addressing our policy book, and that truancy is in there, and that's where we would start addressing some of the attendance issues and maybe creating different policies to address those. That's just my feeling.
Madam President,
Yeah.
I was thinking about this quite a bit, and I know that you had a problem, or you voiced it to me when it had to do with going to school, where parents had complained, how does my child get to go to the school? And there was a list, and I think Bobby is familiar with that. And I got to looking, and I said, I see this as actually, my opinion is two different policies. I think yours is very good to address how a student actually applies and get into one of the outlying schools. So to me, this year policy MW is a good policy, a standalone policy, the way you modified it. However, I still think that a separate policy should include the other information about attendance, because I think that's important. And I believe that the whole point was students who transfer to other schools outside their home district, okay, there's a reason that they go, and there should be, a reason or a way for them to maintain that attendance there. And I think the 94% would be very good. So getting back again, I see your policy. I'd like to vote to adopt yours as a standalone policy. That would be my motion.
For the third, when we come back to next meeting, then they'll come back
Yep.
as a third reading for approval. Does anybody disagree with Mr. Moore?
I'll second.
And then what you're saying is then develop another policy to address what's being taken out?
Well,
An attendance policy, a stronger attendance policy.
well, I just happened, I think we can, I have one in here that I will submit after the meeting. That's a policy I'd like to submit for first reading at the next board meeting. That will have to do specifically with the attendance.
There's no motion or second on this. This is just for discussion, just so guidance for Dr. Whitney when she does the agenda next time, that these two will move forward for approval at the next meeting.
The BEDH.
And the JCA.
Okay.
Okay.
The only thing about that second reading, that BEDH, have you looked how complicated it is? To me, it's like, do we want something that complex?
Pardon?
I thought that was what our attorney gave us.
It is, but I even said, do we have to have it this complicated? But we do not, if we don't want it to, we could take some things out. It is, he did draw it up, but it's got a lot of things in it.
I think, for now, because we need a policy in place and where we're going to start reviewing our policy book dedicatedly, that will come up again, and at that time we can make those revisions, but at this time we need a policy put in place. If there's no further discussion, we'll go on to the December board meeting, change of venue. To move the December board meeting from Klein to Littleburg, as the Klein building is not ready yet. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes. Moving on to personnel supplemental contracts, 5.1. Do I have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Yes.
Support staff recommendations, 5.2. I got a motion? A second?
I'll second.
Discussion or questions?
None.
All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes. 5.3, substitutes and volunteers. Need a motion?
I'll move.
A second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes. Board discussion. Want to start, Mr. Mo, Charlie?
Just congratulations, Melissa.
Thank you.
You'll always be my president.
Congratulations, and thank you, parents, for coming in and voicing your opinions. And thank you, staff, for attending.
Oh, Evie, go ahead. Go ahead.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Charlie, thank you for what you've done for us.
Thank you.
Thank you for the community members that came, and I just hope we can move on now, move forward.
I just want to tell Muscoon and his family, thank you for coming, and I share the same concerns with you. And as we move forward with this committee, I invite you guys to be part of that and tap into kind of our resources on this tribe side, get people involved that we need to get involved to make some of these changes happen. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you
Can we
for
get-
supporting us.
Get a notice of when you will be meeting
Sure.
and
Check.
whatnot. so
Check.
that we can
Checking
come
it does.
join.
Yep, definitely.
Thanks.
Yep. And thank everybody for coming today.
I want to thank you all for coming, and I want to thank Charlie for his leadership that he gave us on this board, and for my fellow board members for thinking he has some really big shoes for me to fill. I went to the ASBSD meeting. This Thursday was the meeting. And ASBSD just went through an audit service, and I found it interesting, one of the things that came up as we approved that beings, in light of everything that's happened in South Dakota lately, was the idea, and ASBSD is going to go out, we are requesting a new proposal for a new audit service that we're going to start rotating every 2 to 3 years, our audit services, so I think it's something maybe we should think about. They just talked about having a new set of eyes coming in. It's nothing against your current auditing firm. It's just looking to have somebody else look at your books other than the same people over and over. So maybe something for a future discussion. It was big. Talked a lot about ethics in light of everything that's happening in South Dakota. And then delegate assembly was the next day, and there was 127 delegates that registered, but due to the weather, only 63 were present. All standing positions passed with no changes. The other ones came up, and those all passed. The only one that had a hard time passing, and it actually came down to where they had to do a vote count, it wasn't a sea of yellow yeses, was Common Core Standard, had a hard time passing. So our question was, if everybody would have showed up, what would have happened? But I think there's a lot of misconception about Common Core. Just speaking with other board members there that were against it, is they don't realize they all blame the math. They think math is Common Core, and I'm like, no, they're two separate things. So. But it was interesting, and I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a safe Thanksgiving. And with that, we will have a motion to go on executive session after a 5-minute break. As soon as our attorney shows up. Are we gonna move to the other one? Okay, executive session, and we'll move to the other one. Do I have a motion to go into exec?
Yes.
Gina, Travis, second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Well, give us 5 minutes, so 6:15, on to exec.